Oumar, in just a month, we've seen the International Finance Corporation issue about $100 million to the Kenyan companies. And I'm talking about $70 million to National Cement and about $30 million to Bidco. Now, looking at it from the perspective of financial needs, it looks like Kenyan companies are turning to the IFC as a source of funding. Why would you say this is the case?
Well, first of all, we increasingly are dealing with corporates that are very sophisticated. They look at their entire needs. They know that demand is there. And then they find different ways of financing themselves in a way that best suits the profile and the specific needs of their companies going forward. Obviously, coming to IFC is not new because last year we had a record program of about $500 million. And we've been building this program for many years now. But when they come to us, it's important to realize that IFC does not compete with local banks. We complement what they do. And if you look at our offerings as a development institution, we provide products that are different. Our loans in general tend to have a longer maturity, which is typically what you want to have if you are building a product, if you are basically raising money for a project that will take some time to complete, or also will take some time to reimburse. So the short-term nature of their funding will typically come from local banks, and then we will complement that effort on the back.
There's something you've said, and I want to follow up on that, whereby you said the IFC is not competing with banks. But if you look at the environment in which Kenyan corporates are operating, and more so I'm keen on the high interest rate regime, would you say the IFC is a cushion in this respect?
Yeah, but the interest in rate environment touches all of us. Remember, this is a global economy, and depending on the instrument that you put on the table, it comes with a certain level of interest rate. So regardless of where those rates are, we believe that there is always going to be a role for us because we provide a different product. And when we price our products also in terms of interest rate, we do not subsidize. We go along with the rates that are the market rates. Because if you were to subsidize, then obviously there would be unfair competition. So the word competition is not really the word that you would want to use when we deal with those corporates, and also when we actually use those local banks to complement the financing plan of those corporates. And by the way, when you think about a lot of those banks also, they tend to be actually IFC clients coming to us exactly for the same product. When I was looking at our portfolio, I was surprised to see that 18 banks, or I would say 18 financial institutions in Kenya alone are clients of IFC.
What was the total investment that was set aside for Kenya? I know your fiscal year has just come to a close, but looking at it from the perspective of the year that just passed, how much did you spend in Kenya?
Last year was about close to $500 million.
And with respect to the different sectors across Africa, where would you say you saw the highest appetite?
Well, the financial sector has been a very, very important sector for us because, obviously we've seen a lot of growth in that sector. But it's also a sector that has some sort of a real multiplier effect. Because remember, you are investing in a place that is also investing many other places. If you don't have that basic infrastructure, that basic financial sector in a given country, it's very difficult to build that country. So it's been a big, very important sector for us. And another sector, again, I'm not ranking them in order of importance because I probably should have started with this one, which is infrastructure. It is a very, very important sector for us. It is at the core of our strategy in Africa. And this is also, when I talked about the growth numbers that I talked about earlier, a big part of it was infrastructure, where we had very, very small programs. But now, year in, year out, it's at least $1 billion, including the mobilization that we bring from other entities that co-invest with us to show their confidence in the project that we invest in.
Talking of the private sector, Oumar, and I know you're well-traveled, how would you rate Kenya's private sector in comparison, say, to the rest of the continent?
One thing that really is absolutely amazing in this country, as I do comparisons and I look around, which I think for me is the other motivation, that every day I wake up in the morning and I want to go back to that place and continue to work hard, is the amazing power of the private sector. This is one of the strongest indigenous private sectors in the continent. Day in, day out, we see that. Even in difficult times, when there's certain things that they would have liked to have had and they don't have, these guys surprise us in terms of the opportunities they put on the table. And I think that's the hope for someone like me and for also our colleagues, about getting new prospects in Kenya. It's like you don't even need to go and quote unquote and tell people about what you do, right? So the entrepreneurial spirit that I found here. Now, remember, I mean, we are a global organization. When I think about my career, I've probably gone to maybe at least 40 countries looking around and doing, investments. But what I found very special in this place is just the strength of that local indigenous private sector, not just in terms of initiative, but in terms of commitment to always bring something new. And I think that is what will take us. So in addition to the fundamentals that I sort of talked about, so you have people here who are extremely active. I don't know how they do it, but that is a source of motivation and inspiration for some of us.